For years, it has been contested and debated, the Shroud of Turin. In fact, back in somewhere around the 1980s, it was estimated to possibly be a forgery. Put it back to the 1500s and the 1600s. But now new technology has come out and it has went deep into the cloth, and the new dating that is universal, undisputed around the world, puts the Shroud of Turin somewhere around 2,000 years ago. What else happened around 2,000 years ago? The resurrection of Jesus. All right, so let's jump into this right now. This is, of course, the on the left hand side there is very similar to what was known for many, many, many years of the Shroud of Turin. It was just sort of a very veiled picture of something. It wasn't until photography was invented to where they could do the images and so forth that we've seen here. And that is what then they begin to realize, my goodness, this man looks just like Jesus. Okay. So, of course, this is based on scripture here. Matthew 27 says that Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a clean linen shroud and laid it in its own tomb, his own tomb, which he had cut in the rock, and he rolled a great stone to the entrance of the tomb and went away. So we know that Jesus was wrapped, according to the Bible, in a shroud. For centuries, the Shroud of Turin has captivated the minds of the faithful as well as skeptics. The ancient cloth bearing the image of a crucified man is believed by many to be the burial shroud of Jesus Christ himself. It measures about 14 feet long by 3.5 feet wide. The burial cloth wrapped the corpse and encoded the image of a tortured man who was scourged, crowned with thorns, crucified, and pierced by a spear in his chest, according to Heritage Journal. As the single most, listen to this, the single most studied archaeological object in the world, the shroud's authenticity has been debated. Now, cutting-edge scientific methods are shedding new light on this enigmatic relic, suggesting it is indeed from around 2,000 years ago. Now, you can see this is the way it was looked at for years and years and years until photography was invented. Now, what is the new technology that is now dating it at 2,000 years ago? It's called wide-angle X-ray scattering, or known as wax. The shroud first appeared in the West in 1354. Currently, it resides at the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Turin, Italy. While analysts from the 1980s dated the Shroud of Turin to the 1300s, new X-ray dating analysis tells a different story. Recent findings by a team of scientists in southern Italy suggest the shroud does actually date back to the time of Christ. The researchers also propose a theory explaining why the previous date assigned to the relic's origin may be inaccurate. Dr. Liberato De Caro from Italy's Institute of Crystallography used a new method known as wide-angle X-ray scattering, which showed that the fabric of the shroud is a good match for a similar sample confirmed to have come from the siege of Masada, Israel, in 55 to 74 AD. The recent study was published in the Heritage Journal. De Caro explained that before his new study, the only missing piece of the puzzle was dating, since everything on the Shroud of Turin is highly coordinated with what the Gospels tell about Jesus Christ and his death. Crown of thorn marks on his head, whip lacerations on the back, and bruises on the shoulders from carrying a heavy cross. Back in 1978, 33 scientists from the Shroud of Turin Research Project analyzed the cloth for 5 continuous days, 120 hours, working in shifts around the clock. After 3 years of studying the results, all scientists agreed upon the following statement. We can conclude for now that the shroud image is that of a real human from a scourged, crucified man. It is not the product of an artist. The blood stains are composed of hemoglobin and give a positive test for serum albumin. Then in 1988, the shroud was carbon dated by 3 laboratories in Oxford, Zurich, and Arizona, and dated it to be between 1260 and 1390. These dates implied that it was a medieval artifact, not the actual burial cloth of Christ. De Caro cast doubt on the accuracy of the carbon dating. Quote, this result has been widely criticized for both procedural and statistical problems, as we recently confirmed by the statistical analysis of raw data made available to the scientific community. This data was not made public for 30 years, and finally, after legal action, it was released for viewing and further scientific study. All right, so what I want to do is I want to jump over to this thread on X, and this takes us a little bit deeper. Ask the question, is this the image of Jesus? There's a lot of talk about the Shroud of Turin lately, so let's break down the evidence. As we said, this new X-ray study suggests that it's 2,000 years old. And of course, this is unbelievable when you look at this image. The technology, y'all, there was no technology back then to be able to make something like this. Now, as you can look at it now, it doesn't look like anything but just a piece of cloth there. But we see that things started changing once they started developing it. The negative image of it and so forth. Jesus of Nazareth was buried in the tomb by Joseph of Arimathea. We've already covered that in Scripture. Now, let's go down here to right here. It then mostly, talking about the Shroud of Turin, it then mostly disappears from written record, with some indications it went to Constantinople. It reappears in 1354 with knight and crusader Geoffroy de Charny, although we do not know how he got it. The shroud now lives in Turin, where it's been for 450 years. But what's so interesting about it? Well, nobody has a clue how the image was made. To this day, no one has a clue how the image was made. I think we have a clue. First, it appears to be a photographic negative. This wasn't discovered, of course, until photography itself was. The shroud was first photographed in 1898, and the negative image was revealed. But it's more than a photograph. The image contains 3D information. Its intensity corresponds to the distance between the cloth and the body. The image gets darker the closer the cloth would have been to the body. The 3D information even throws up details that make sense for a crucified individual. For instance, the chin is very close to the sternum, like the position of someone hanging on a cross and then frozen by rigor mortis. Wow. So what is the image made of? There are no dyes, paints, pigments, or stains present. I want to read that again. There are no dyes, paints, pigments, or stains present. The image exists only on the very outer surfaces of the linen fibers. That's incredible. That's incredible. So the image is just 200 to 500 nanometers deep, a small fraction of the width of a human hair. It could easily be scratched away by accident and lost forever. You see left, there's a section without an image, and then on the right, a discolored section of the image. This is actual close-up of the fabric. No technology exists today that could create a burn this precise and delicate, and no chemicals were used because they would seep too deep into the fibers. So what on earth produced this image? Many, if not most, think it must have been a rapid burst of radiation. But forming such an image would require billions of watts of light energy, more than the maximum power released by all UV light sources available today. I'm going to give you my thoughts on this in just a minute about why I think this is coming out right now. The image is therefore a total enigma, but there are other things found on the linen, like blood, the rare AB type to be specific. UV scans reveal clotting consistent with real wounds, a detail that seems improbable for a forger to fake. You can see how they have highlighted where all the splots of blood have been identified. It appears whoever this man was, he really was the victim of a crucifixion. Analysis of nanoparticles on the shroud revealed high levels of creatine and ferritin found in patients who suffer trauma, like torture. These are detailed examinations. I mean, this thing is the most researched artifact in human history. Then there are all the details that dovetail with the gospel account. Marks from the crown of thorns, stab wounds in the side, lacerations in the back, bruises on the shoulders. Look here. Look where they've identified all these things in this image. Unbelievable. Single nail through both feet. Wow. Wow. Interestingly, the nails, I love this part, were driven through this man's wrist, not his hands. That satisfies modern understanding of Roman crucifixion, but goes against centuries of artistic tradition of nails going through his palms. Of course, most people know that that would not have supported the weight. So we've known for years that it would have gone through his wrist. Watch how interesting this is. And pollen on the cloth was shown to be native to the Middle East and Jerusalem specifically. There's even dirt from the feet area containing a very rare calcite found near the site of Calvary. This is crazy, y'all. If the shroud was a forgery, it would be a near miracle in itself to pull off. So many impossibly clever details would need to have been taken into account. The last question, though, is how old is it? As we've said, in 1988, the world waited as the shroud was carbon dated. The result was 1260 to 1380. Medieval appeared to be with that night. So then, case closed, right? Right? Not exactly. It's widely stated that the analyzed corner piece was contaminated or repaired in medieval times. Later analysis showed that it was cut from an area with traces of cotton found nowhere else and a gum dye mordant coating used for textile repairs. In 2022, a new X-ray technique was used to study the aging of the linen's flax cellulose. The finding? Here we go. Breakdown of the cellulose matches other 2,000-year-old samples, not medieval ones. Y'all, if this right here is shocking, y'all, smash the like button right now. Show me some love tonight. Show me some love and subscribe to our channel. I would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. Now, for the cloth to be just 7 centuries old, as the carbon dating suggests, the cellulose must have aged incredibly fast. It would have had to have been kept in the temperature very close to the maximum values registered on the earth. Okay? There's simply no way to condense every line of evidence in one thread. The shroud is an entire field of study unto itself. Modern science has yet to explain or replicate it, or perhaps it never will. Now, look at this AI rendered image based on the Shroud of Turin of what Jesus would have looked like. Who knows, okay? But this is what it's based on. Now, why is this being shown right now? Why is this coming out right now? We talk all the time about disclosure. And I want to tell you something. I believe this is a part of the disclosure. I've been telling you that not only there's going to be disclosures of UFOs and aliens and all this, and I've been telling you why that's happening now, because that's the enemy trying to get out in front of the real disclosure. I'm telling you, not only is there a spiritual disclosure of the spirit realm happening to the remnant, but things like this. I mean, why now? Why now? Remember what God told Daniel? Seal up the book until the days that knowledge shall increase. Seal up the scroll until the day that knowledge shall increase. So it's a twofold thing. It's spiritual and biblical knowledge. Things that are hidden in plain sight in Scripture are going to be illuminated to that final generation. But there's also going to be technology advancing at such a rate that it's going to reveal mysteries that are being reserved for one generation. And I believe the revealing of the fact now, because the carbon dating was wrong, the fact now through this new technology that the Shroud of Turin, and you can believe it's a fake and a forgery all you want to, I personally believe it's the real deal. And I believe it's been preserved by God and put in a state of confusion and denial and accusations of forgery for so long to where people would discard it. And then right here in the final generation, technology advances to reveal All of that was wrong. The Shroud of Turin comes from wrapping around a body around 2,000 years ago. And y'all, when you understand all the things that's in this shroud and all the things that's in the gospel, it's not happenstance. And it's not happenstance that it came out now. You know why I say that? Because God is doing everything he can do in this last day to open the eyes of people. And the real disclosure is happening. Y'all, I submit to you tonight that the Shroud of Turin being discovered to actually date 2,000 years ago is part of the full spiritual disclosure that we've been talking about on this channel. It's a part of everything that can be shaken, will be shaken until that which cannot be shaken remains. So watch this. You're going to be forced to make a decision. This generation is going to have it put straight in their face. Spiritual warfare, angelic beings, Nephilim, days of Noah, evidence just like this of Jesus. You'll have no excuse. You have no excuse. Choose Jesus Christ. Is the Shroud of Turin real? Do you believe that it's real? Let me know in the comments below in the live chat. Tell me your thoughts. Do you think it's a fake? Do you think it's a forgery? Does this change your opinion on the whole Shroud of Turin now that evidence is coming out that it's dated 2,000 years ago? And do you believe that God has preserved it for such a time as this? Thank you for watching this video. Like, share, tell people about the big picture. We love you. Here's how you can partner and connect further with us. See you next time. We ain't woke, certainly our way. God bless.
Would you like to help us build the big picture family? We're on a mission to wake up the world to what is really going on. All you have to do is go to our website at LarryRagland.com and make a one-time gift, or you can become a monthly partner. Any amount is a blessing and an encouragement to us. While you're there, make sure you get a copy of our book, I See Greatness in You. Browse our merchandise store, connect with us on our social media links, and join our mailing list. We appreciate it. And remember, we ain't woke, but we are certainly awake.